Hello there, welcome to our next lesson on Microsoft Excel, and we are going to get into some of the real more functional things that spreadsheets can do for us. And there's a lot of power in numbers and math computation, so we're going to just do a real basic introduction to that and hopefully have a little bit of fun with it. I hope you enjoy it. At the same time, so let's get started here. You should know how to do this. Go to open a spreadsheet, and I'll review that real quick. Go to Start, click on that. If you don't have an icon, if you have this icon on your toolbar down here, you can click it there. Or if you see that X on your desktop, you can click that. Or go to All Programs, or you might see it right here if you've used it recently, Excel 2016. Find that, click on it, open a new document, and pull that up on your screen. I already did that, so I'm going to pull mine onto the screen. So you should have something that looks like this. It should say Book 1 at the top, Excel, and then go up. Let's just go ahead and save it, and follow my instructions here as you go. Go find your M drive, and then click Save As. Once you've found your M drive, I'm going to save it in a different place for you, but you go, reminder for you, you go down to Computer, you click on that, you find M, it should be one of them here, double click, find your Intro to Computer folder, and save it in that folder. I have a different place where I keep my computer stuff, so I'm going to place it in my folder, and let's call it Royal Baseball Batting Stats. All right, and click Save. And once you've done that, as usual, you should see it up at the top, Royal Baseball Batting Stats, and you should have hopefully a clear worksheet here available for you. One of the things that we can do in Excel is we can add layers of sheets. So we're going to do that first. We have it, you always start with the first sheet right here at the bottom, and I just double clicked it and it became gray. And let's just call it, we will call this Total Hits. We'll just call it that for now, and you'll see why we named it that later. And then if we have time, we might add another layer to it. We might or might not. Now, we've been spending a couple days having fun building pictures in these cells, as you see my rectangle moving around, and that's all fun and nice to do, but really the purpose of this is to put in data and have it do computations for us, and so that's what we are going to work on today. So if you would, go ahead and begin in cell A1 and write KC, or type KC, Royals Batting Statistics. I ought to add 2017 so that we know that it's for this year. All right, we will format it later. Hit enter, and before you hit enter, sorry, I do want you to notice that what we typed came up here in this box as well as on our spreadsheet. So what happens in these cells is sometimes if things overlap, they might appear like they're not there. If you want to know what is in the cell because it looks like something's not there, but you're like, hey, I just typed that in there, you look up in this box up here where the gray box is right there, where I'm blinking, trying to show you, I'm highlighting the cursor. That is everything that's in the cell. For example, if I clicked here on this cell in B1, if I typed something else, you notice right now it looks like I have batting selected, but don't do this. But if I type like hi, type that there, notice all that stuff that was in A1 has just disappeared. Do you see what happened there? But if I click back on the cell A1, you can see that KC Royals Batting Statistics is still there. The reason that we don't see it is there's something in cell B1 that is overlapping that, so it thinks we want to stop it wherever it is. Now, again, you don't need to do this yet, but I could stretch that and show what is in cell A1, but we're not going to do that now. I'm going to just delete the word hi in there. I just wanted you to see that that was something that we could do, and I hit the wrong button. There we go. So once I delete what was in that cell B1, you see that everything in cell A1 is still showing up. So don't stretch it out just yet, just leave it. All the cells should be the same size. So I kind of got it offline, so I'm just going to resize everything back to be equal. Now why don't you click down, let's skip a couple lines. We're going to format everything later. skip down a couple lines, and we're going to create a title bar, and we're just going to input some statistics. The first column, so this is cell A4, and you just click on A4, and remember right up here where my mouse is moving, that tells you where the active cell is that you have selected. Just type the word name, and then you can right arrow over to B4 and type AB, just like that. Arrow over to another one and type 1 capital B, and these we want to be all capitals. Okay, this is like a title bar, and then you can arrow over again, and then in cell D4 type 2B. I'll explain what all this means in a minute if you don't know. And then cell E4 type 3B. Whoops, I don't know what I just did there. I think I hit page down, so I just scroll back up. Again, just got to get into E4 type 3B, enter. And then in F, type HR. Now, you might know what this means and you might not. So just to clarify, in this column, in column A, under name, what we're going to do is we're going to just list 5 players from the Royals that I've chosen. And then in column B, starting under AB, that means at-bats. That's basically how many times they went up to hit a baseball and they did something other than walk or get hit by a pitch. And I left those out for a specific reason I'll explain later. That has more to do with baseball. Whether you know that or not, it doesn't matter. 1B, that's a single. That means they probably hit the ball to the outfield and got to first base safely, and it was not an error. A double means they hit it and they got to second base. Triples, that's all the way to third base off their hit. And a home run is obviously a home run. Now, just because it bothers me, you'll notice that everything is justified to the left, and that just bothers me a little bit. So go ahead and click in over on the left-hand side and on the 4, and you'll see the entire row gray out. It highlights. Let's just center all of that. So if you go up to, you should be on the Home tab, go to the Alignment area and click on that one in the middle of alignment where it looks like everything is centered. And then another thing, let's go ahead and underline it as well. And I'm just doing that because it just bugs me if I don't do that now. But we'll do more formatting with that in the title later when we look at some of the options of things we can do. All right, under name, let's just do last names. So we're going to type in 5 players that I've chosen just because they have a lot of at-bats. So we'll do Hosmer. It's Eric Hosmer. We'll do Lorenzo Cain. And all you have to do is type in the name and hit enter, and it should go down. If it doesn't go down, if it happens to go to the right, just arrow down to the next cell. Okay, so in cell A7, we should have Moustakas. That's M-O-U-S-T-A-K-A-S. And we hit enter. Okay, so right now we've got a name that's a little bit too long to fit in there, so we'll fix that in a second. And then I made a mistake. Okay, this is actually good. Would you go back to A7, where I type Moustakas, and hit the delete button, and type in Merrifield. I want to keep it alphabetized, although I could have alphabetized it later. And then do Moustakas. Okay, so make sure that Moustakas is in cell A8. So I typed that in wrong, so I skipped over some of my information. In cell A8 is Moustakas, and then in cell 9, Perez for Salvador Perez, our all-star catcher. So you got 5 players. Again, starting in A5 is Hosmer, Cain, Merrifield, Moustakas, Perez, and that is not alphabetized, I just realized. Looks like it was sorted originally by their batting average. So just follow that order so that we can all be on the same page. Hosmer, Cain, Merrifield, Moustakas, Perez. Now, right now you will see that Moustakas' name is a little bit too long for that column. So we're going to stretch column A just a little bit to where we want that, make sure that gray bar falls past their name. Otherwise, as soon as we input data in the next cell, part of his name is going to disappear. We don't want that to happen. All right, let's input the number of at-bats now that each player had. And it goes this way. Eric Hosmer, he had 590 at-bats. Now this, by the way, the season is not quite finished. This is just up to really a couple days ago when I found this spreadsheet online. Lorenzo Cain, up to this point in the season, has had 573 at-bats. Whit Merrifield had 566. Moustakas had 545, and Salvador Perez had 470. Okay, and again, you just type in the numbers, make sure the cells match. Again, in Hosmer's at-bats is in cell, look right up there, make sure that cell B5. This one is B6. Merrifield is B7, and etc., etc. Make sure it looks just like that, please. Now let's go over and look at the number of singles that each player had. All right, then starting at the top, we have 133. And you can just what I would recommend is you use your number pad, type in the number and hit the enter button with your pinky. That's the fastest way to do it. 126, 106, 86, 74. You may be wondering, why did Salvador Perez have such fewer at-bats? Well, it could be a couple of reasons. One reason would be if he walked a whole bunch. If you walk, it actually doesn't count as an at-bat in baseball statistics. Or if you get hit by a pitch, it does not count as an at-bat. But that's not the reason for him. He was actually injured and he missed a few weeks of the season. That's why his numbers are a little bit smaller as far as the totals, number of hits and at-bats. All right, go up to cell D5. Now you can arrow over or click on it with your mouse. Eric Hosmer had 31 doubles, then 27 doubles. 32 for Whit Merrifield. Moustakas had 24. Perez had 24. All right, the last one would be the number of triples. So it goes in this order: 1, 5, 6, 0, 1. And in the last column, home runs are 24. Let me get my cursor out of the way. 24 for Hosmer. That's, again, cell F5. Make sure you're in F5. Make sure everything is lined up just like what you see on the screen. Lorenzo Cain, 15. Whit Merrifield, 18. Moustakas, 38. A new Kansas City record, by the way, 38. The previous record was Steve Balboni at 37. And Mike Moustakas just broke that record this year. Salvador Perez had 27. Okay, so right now make sure that all of that data is input just like that. I have to stop this video because I have time restrictions and I'm approaching it. So this is part 1 for Kansas City Royals baseball statistic video. And after this, I'll probably have you move on to video number 2.